Everyone, TCG Tacos here. I'm here with Sam Tuell. He ended up making it to top 8, and he's got a spicy deck for us today. Sam, tell us what you got here.
Yeah, so everybody's been or has known about like Rydia Palomporum for a while. A deck that I played in Florida was mainly based around Fusoya, so I kind of just combined the two. I was playing Rydia and Fusoya before, but now I kind of leaned a little bit heavier into being able to give Rydia some extra counters with the Palomporum. I also think in the current format, these cards are very strong because there's a lot of very aggressive decks, and if these can stick out, it will not just stop you from dying, but also win you the game. So this kind of creates a lot of situations where both you're stopping your opponent from winning the game and you're also able to win the game yourself. Because these guys get very strong and then are also able to attack. So the biggest thing about this deck, though, is still Fusoya. He's the granddaddy, really grumpy old man. And pretty much everything else in the deck is like based around Fusoya to try to like give him maximum value all the time. So like with my backups, I have all different colors pretty much. The only thing that kind of can get a little dicey is selection on Princess Sarah. I think in the event yesterday I picked 4 different colors throughout the day on what it was. Wind sometimes, it was earth once, it was lightning once, and it was fire another time. So it's been kind of wild where it goes, and it depends mostly on these Moogles. So these Moogles are color fixing. It taps for fire or it taps for lightning. Obviously I don't really have any lightning cards on the deck, but Fusoya needs as many different colors as possible, so we need to make sure we can get all the colors. Other than that, we just have board wipes, obviously, with our Shantotos, and then Susanoo and Shadow Lord a little bit for kind of board wipe against certain decks, but other than that, we've got our suite of cards that we use as summons to help both have something to pick back up with Fusoya or Terra, and then also to be able to cast off Rydia. A little extra help is Braska, who I can grand summon because our mana does get kind of crazy sometimes, so we will be able to pay for grand summon, but also just summoning to be able to kill off some stuff. A really good play that sometimes I'm able to do with the deck is like setting up with like 2 backups early, playing Rydia and one of the twins, and then being able to Sildra for like the rest of the backups, so we can go Rydia for Sarah and class 4 Moogle, and that will take us like from like 2 backups to now 5 backups, because you'll go Sarah, Princess Sarah, and class 4 Moogle. So things like that are really important. Titus is in the deck also for Sildra, just to have an extra target of something off number to get with Sildra, since we have to grab 2 different numbers. This way we can grab Titus. And it's also pretty relevant in certain matchups where like we need to be attacking, and we just kind of want to throw out like a proactive threat. A very important thing to actually do with the deck is to have a forward out before you play Fusoya when you go to bounce something on top of the deck, so that way you can attack in and take whatever you put on top of their deck, because usually if you're bouncing it, you don't want them to replay it. So this way you bounce it and then you take it as damage. So it's effectively removing the card from the game. It also makes your attacks a little bit more safe. Since Fusoya is playing it on top of their deck, you know you're not hitting an EX burst, which is also something you can do with the 4CP Leviathan. And then other than that, that's pretty much the general gist of the deck. Mainly just really centered around Fusoya and occasionally around Rydia, amassing as much value as possible.
Cool. And the other deck was Icewind, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. And I don't know if you remember, like, if you can recall your matches.
Yeah, so I don't believe I ever lost a game with this deck yesterday. I had 3 games go to game 3. I always played this as my deck 1. So I never lost game 1, but I did lose 3 games with Icewind as my game 2, and then game 3 I was able to actually win with my Icewind deck as well. I went undefeated yesterday, but was not so lucky in the top cut.
Okay. So yeah, any changes you would make to the deck, or do you think it's great the way it is?
Honestly, not much. Shadow Lord was not very impactful throughout the games. I don't believe I ever cast Shadow Lord in this entire event. I did tutor him for Earth CP, so he's very interchangeable. Susanoo is not something I want to be doing, but he's kind of like, sometimes you just have to have him. Another option is like you could change out 1 or 2 of the Braska, but these cards are kind of some of the ones that are the most interchangeable in my opinion. Terra obviously is not that important, but she is EX, and there are times where you just want to be able to pick back up summons, so she is pretty helpful. But these are probably the 2 most flexible slots in the deck. And then obviously any of these summons over here are pretty flexible. One last thing I may have made is like maybe swapping 1 Atomos for another 4 CP Leviathan, but both cards are really good and it's very matchup dependent on which is better.
Cool. Any last shoutouts?
Shoutouts to gamers. I've been having a great event and had a great time, and everybody I met and played. It's a good time.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for your time, bro.
Thanks.